Hi guys, this is Vivian. I'm from Taiwan. I've actually contemplated for the past couple months whether or not I want to load a vlog up that talks about the current, pandemic that's going on. But I think watching a lot of different YouTubers or, vlogs or news out there, I feel like it is time to kind of let you guys know how my country, Taiwan, is actually dealing with this pandemic. Disclosure here, I'm probably not going to get a lot of the dates right, so I'm just going to kind of give you guys my first perspective in terms of how I saw everything came to light and how we dealt with it as how Taiwanese government kind of, took this pandemic and then really was able to make it under control. So as I remember, when we used to call it the Wuhan fire started, we first heard about it sometimes in December of 2019. And I want to tell you, during that point, I didn't really think much of it. I figure, it's just a virus that's going around. It's flu season, so things happened, and, I figure things will be under control. So my family and I actually we had a family trip planned to Fukuoka in Japan at the end of January for our Chinese New Year. So when we went there, I think the first thing that was told to us is that it might be better if we wear a mask. And my sister was the first one who told me that she saw it on the news. So as a family, when we went over, I would tell you, I did not feel a cold. I go on airplanes quite often, so I actually opted not to wear a mask when I went. And then the kids in our family, we have a my sister has a kid that's in sixth grade, and then she also has an older son who is 18, and then my mom is in her, I want to say, almost 70. So, and I myself actually suffer from a autoimmune system disease. So we always watch about, like, our general health. So when we went on that trip, everything in Fukuoka looked pretty, I would say, pretty normal. People is going out and about, and then, all the restaurants are pretty filled. There's definitely no social distancing. And, I think when we as a family go to Japan, what we always do is we go to their pharmacies, which, it's like it's CVS or Doin, but it's a lot of Japanese products, and we enjoy going to buy different kind of, whether it's face masks, whether it's, you know, I don't know, just like these Japanese made, if you have a cold, or these patches that you can use, and then it's actually a lot cheaper. So we always visit these pharmacies when we go to Japan, and we go through as many as we can. So we were there for 7 days. For the first couple of days, I think everything was, business as usual. We go out, we check into our hotels, and, we're just doing the regular things, sightseeing, eating a lot of food, and having a lot of fun. I remember the second or the third day, we actually went into this, I want to say, a Dollar Tree store, if that's a better word to put it. And we were just grabbing some stationery, and the kids were shopping around for their stuff, and I was looking through my stuff. And then my sister actually had a friend who actually was recommending her that, because the regular mask that we use, sometimes when we wear it for a long time, it kind of hurts your ears. But the ones in Japan, it's not shaped like that, so it's not as much pressure on your earlobes. So she actually said that, since you're there anyways, you might as well buy some, just so that when your kids are sick, you can actually let them wear those instead. So my sister actually bought a couple pack, and then while she was buying it, my mom watched her buying them as well, so she figured she'll buy some for her friends. And I would tell you straight up, at this point, we did not think too much of the coronavirus or COVID-19. So we were just buying these masks because, number one, I want to tell you guys, in Taiwanese culture, wearing a mask is actually very, very normal. People wear them when they're riding their motorcycles, their scooters, because of pollution. People wear them when they have a bad cough, like bad cold. We'll wear them so that we can protect people around us. So wearing a mask isn't really something new to us. So my mom actually got a bunch, and then I decided that I will get some too, and then give them to my friends. So we didn't think too much about it. So the next couple of days when we go to stores, or even like a 7-Eleven or a Family Mart, which is kind of a convenience store in Asia, so we would see those things and we'll buy them. And then pretty much on the fifth day of our Japan trip, when we just went into this store with anything you can find, the first thing the lady asked me was, am I looking for a mask? And at that point, we weren't looking for a mask, so I told her, actually, I'm not. But I was curious why she asked me that question. And she said that a bunch of people came in for the past day and a half and actually literally clean out the stock. So at that point, we got a little worried. So we actually called some of our friends back home in Taiwan and asked them what was going on, because obviously we can't understand any of the news in Japan. And then we didn't see too much on the internet. We did know about the Wuhan situation, but we didn't realize it would be affected that much in Taiwan, even though we're very close to China. So, um, pretty much the last 2 days we couldn't find any more masks. And then we figured, it is what it is. But when we got on the plane, the minute we were checked out of our hotel, when we got on the car to go to the airport, we actually masked on. And then we checked in, and then when we were boarding, we decided as a family that we were not going to take off our mask for the a little over 2 hour flight back to Taipei. I would say yes, it is quite annoying. It's quite uncomfortable. You feel kind of, stuffy, but that was something we wanted to make sure that we're coming back from another country. And then at that point, I would say it was just, a breakout. It wasn't even an epidemic yet. So we pretty much sit down. We came, we didn't take off our masks until we got home. We threw in a garbage bag, and then all of us took a shower to make sure I had fresh clothes. And then that was it. And then the next thing that alerted me was that, we started watching the news and realizing that, I'm going to take politics aside because this is not the point of the video. So pretty much we watched the news, we realized that things were getting quite serious, because Taiwan, for those of you guys who don't know, our Taipei International Airport is actually, I think, the 12th busiest. The last time I checked was the 12th busiest airports in the world. So we actually get a lot of people transferring and transferring out. We do have a lot of people who come in for business, and we as citizens also travel out for business, or whether it's for leisure as well. So at that point, I would say my company actually sent us an email to say that we need to be careful and then to wear masks. But unfortunately, when I got back to Taipei, what I realized was that all the masks was completely sold out. There's no place you can buy any sort of mask. So, and then 75% ruby alcohol was completely gone. You cannot find any disinfectant wipes. So we kind of had to make do with what we have, which, I would say we were quite lucky because we actually had quite a good amount. So yeah, so pretty much a couple of weeks goes by. We try to be as safe as possible. A couple of weeks goes by. The Diamond Cruise, the Princess Diamond Cruise, actually docked in the southern part of Taiwan, which is Kaohsiung. So, but the people on board actually went to a lot of different places throughout Taiwan. This is what I have to give to our government, that first, our population isn't that big compared to like Europe or the States, so it was easy to kind of track down every single passenger and kind of retrace the steps that to the places they've been to. And then the government actually let us know, if you are at a certain place during a certain hour, you might need to start watching your temperatures and so forth. So I think that was the first thing that really kicked us in the butt, where, for example, my company sent out an email to us immediately on a Friday afternoon and said that for the next 2 weeks we will be working from home. And then they said, advise us to not go out as much as we can, and if we do go out, to have a mask on. So for the next 2 weeks I did work at home, and then it's if you want to say it's quarantine, we can still go out, but basically working from home, and then just not going out as much as we can. And then during that time, I think there was, it became an epidemic, and then it went on to a pandemic. But what I want to say in this video at least is that Taiwan, I would say I haven't done my full research, but Taiwan at least based off the news has been one of the countries in the world, especially being a country that is so close to China, that we've actually really contained it very well. I will give you the stats for today. So at 2 p.m. we are our CDC actually does a live broadcast, and then it will tell you everything that's going on. And I'm sorry if I can actually get it out, and they would actually have a live update in terms of what was going on that day, and then how many people were coming in from abroad, and then all these things. So what they would do is afterwards they will send, I hope you guys can see this, not I will put a picture when I'm editing. So basically it will give you the numbers of the day. Like for example, today we have zero new cases in Taiwan, positive cases in Taiwan. A total of the cases we have thus far positive cases is 441, and then Mondo 7 did pass away, and then we have 408 people who have been released from their quarantine that were positive. So I would say that, for the past 14 days, we actually had zero new cases, whether domestically within Taiwan or people that are flying in from Taiwan. And then there are no new cases within anywhere. So we have had 14 days of zeros, except yesterday. Those zeros were broken because we did have a Taiwanese person who went to Mexico for a business trip in January. So I think the story is that around 2-3 weeks ago he started to not feel well and started to have a fever, and then pretty much, yeah, he just wasn't feeling well and he came back. But the first thing he did when he got back into immigration was to alert them that he hasn't been feeling well. He does have a cough, and he is showing some of the symptoms. So they actually did the test kit immediately, and then the next day it showed that he is tested positive. So now he's in a quarantine. Taiwan has done a really good job, I think. Simply, it's a couple things in my head is one, I think people are very well informed in terms of what is going on with this virus, that this virus changes every day, and you just can't control what is going to happen. And we do ask people to mask up. So when you go out, when you're even in your office, we're asked to have a mask on. And then to wash your hands as much as you can. Whenever you touch something, you should wash your hands. And then we have rubbing alcohol. Like for me, when I actually go out, I bring a little, this is just less than like 100 ml, like a rubbing alcohol. So if I go out, I touch something, I'm gonna spray it and then wipe my hands. I do have Perel, but Perel is not something we Taiwanese people use a lot. So we're dependent on these rubbing alcohol as most. And yeah, and then I think the public places now, before you go in anywhere, they take your temperature to make sure you don't have a fever, and then you can go in. And then they also actually provide alcohol spray, so they will spray your hands before you walk in as well, and you are not allowed to go in if you don't have a mask. I think one of the great things that we have done in terms of the mask control is that you don't want hoarders, obviously, and people are scared, so people will go out and buy a lot of things. So I think it was probably maybe January, I want to say February or early March, the government decided that they will take over all of the masks that's being produced in Taiwan, and they will be put under their control, so that all of the masks, at least I would say 80% of the mask goes out to our frontliners first, because obviously I think by this time all of us knows people in the front line really needs them, so it goes out to them first. And then they will also release, they have done a quota to say, you can go line up in pharmacies, and then you can pick up, let's say at the beginning I think it was like 3 masks a week, and you can use your national insurance card, and then you can go register and you can pick up the 3 masks. But that created some sort of, I would say, I wasn't very comfortable with that, because we talk about social distancing, but you have massive people waiting in line, right? So I think Taiwan has done really well, in which they also, because of the feedback They've also created an app, which looks like this, and you can pretty much just go in, and then you can, at this point, I think it started about a month ago, or maybe a month and a half ago, where you can actually just register for your mask and you enter your information. Right now, the way it works is that every 2 weeks you can register for 9 masks, and you just have to go on the site, enter information, and then you wire them the money, and then they will inform you that they have received the money. And then during, I think they give you like a 10 days window to go to any convenience store of your choice. So for example, in Taiwan, we have a lot of 7-Elevens and Family Marts and so forth. So you can actually pick one that's next, then closest to wherever you live, and then it will be delivered there, and then you can go and pick it up. And basically it comes, I'll show you guys another time, it comes in a little bag and you have your 9 masks. Is it enough? I would say if you go to work 5 times a week, you use your 5 masks, that's, you'll still be one short, but I think generally I think Taiwan is doing quite a good job, but I do know that they are going to plan to increase that. So I think in that sense, we all feel very safe. And then with the rubbing alcohol, 75% rubbing alcohol, we were really short on supplies with those as well. So the government work with the manufacturer who makes this and then has increased the product line so that we can have more. So at this point, I say for rubbing alcohol, for a while it was really hard to get in Taipei or Taiwan, but now we can actually get them quite easily. Last but not least, I would say, even with the continuous 0 cases here in Taiwan, I think we are a little bit more relaxed, but most of us, I would say, I was just out today, I would still say 90% of the people still have a mask on. And then the only time we don't wear a mask is obviously when we're eating. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, that I do suffer from a autoimmune disease, and I am a chronic pain patient, so I actually do have to go to the hospital at least. During this pandemic, I've tried to cut it down, so I only have to go to the hospital at least once a month to get my shots. And during that time, I would do all my other doctor visits at once. And when you go in the hospital, the first thing they do is you have to take out your national insurance card. You have to register, and then they can look at all your traveling history to make sure that you haven't traveled anywhere for the past 7 days. But with that said, I would say we have locked down the country. So with the rest of the world, we have locked down our country, but the difference is that we are not being asked to stay home. We are allowed to go out on the street, but just to be safe, have a mask on. No one's allowed to go on any mass transit without a mask. You can be fined for it. People who are in mandatory quarantine, we do have stupid cases as well, where this guy was supposed to go on a 14-day manual self-quarantine, and he decided that he wanted to get a yogurt from 7-Eleven, and then he went out, bought it, but we have an alert system that will alert the local police that this person who's not supposed to be there has left his or her house. So they actually caught him very quickly, and then he was fined I think 3,000 USD. So this is just to show that, we take this very seriously, and I do appreciate the work that our government has done in terms of, controlling the things that's needed for our first liners, and then as well as providing, people like us just, the simple necessities that we need. I'm very grateful that, I watch a lot of videos that people are, staying at home, and I definitely encourage that, because I know there are certain places that are starting to open up. But, the biggest thing I think I've heard lately is that no matter how well you control the situation right now in the country or state you live in, unless the rest of the world follows in an exact the same way, then all the efforts that we do would not make sense. Because the minute that we open our country to let people fly to do if they need to fly to the Taipei International Airport to do it transfers somewhere else. Right now we're not allowing that, but if we do that, but these people, the countries aren't as strict, will we have to see new cases? So I do want to tell you guys that this is just an intro to just kind of give you guys a background in terms of what's going on in Taipei or Taiwan. And then I would follow up on this video and then kind of take you guys out to see what happens in Taiwan. But generally, yeah, I'm not going out as much simply because I just like to stay home, but when I do go, I definitely have a mask on. And I do have something that I really need to tell you guys. So I'm not really wasting a mask. This mask is something that I just kind of quickly put on to go get the mail, so I took it off. So if you have a medical mask, the way to use it, you know, I think obviously everybody knows how to use it. You just kind of put it over your mouth and you do that, right? You pull it down and you adjust it to your nose. I think the biggest frustration I have right now when I see it on, you know, whether it's on TV or whether it's on YouTube or whatever, is that people touch your mask. You know, you're touching your mask and then you pull it down and you talk, and then, you know, you touch your face, you might touch your mouth, you might start eating, and then you put it back on. But the right way to do it is that before you put your mask on, you should sanitize your hands. And then when you're about to take off your mask, you need to make that decision. If you don't have a cold, then then the outside of the mask is where all the germs are, right? If you do have a cold and you think it's a very severe cold, then the inside of the mask is where all the germs are. So depending on what your situation is, once you know that you're not going to use this mask, you should fold it up. Fold it together with the section with the side that you feel like has the most germs on it, and then, you know, just roll it together and then throw it away, right? I usually like to put it in a little bag so that people won't touch it. And after you touch that, because the mask itself is not clean, you need to, you know, whether it's Perel or, you know, wash your hands or whatever, so you disinfect your hands. So at this point, if you touch your face, that's fine. But what I've seen a lot is that people take their mask and then they take it off and on off, and they keep touching the outside of their mask, and then they're touching everything else. By doing that, that's not really safe and it's not really protecting anyone. And I'm sorry if I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but if that's what you're going to do, then what is the mask for, right? So I do encourage you guys. That's why I saved this mask, to show you guys that the proper way to use it. And then don't just throw it in the middle of the street. You know, if I have a garbage can, put it in a garbage can like I do it. You know, I kind of tied it together so the side with the most germs will not be exposed to anybody who accidentally touch it, and throw it into a garbage can. Don't throw it on the street. Don't, you know, be good. So yeah, anyways, so this is just what I want to share in this vlog today, and I hope everybody stays safe during this pandemic. And if you're quarantining, I feel you. I know it's a different time now, but you can definitely find things to do and keep yourself very upbeat. And I really look forward to the day where the world comes together and then we can beat this virus and go back to our normal lives. And even that, I would say, I don't even know what our normal life is anymore, right? So yeah, so thank you very much for watching, and if you have any question, please leave a comment down below and please give me a like.